Hello and welcome to today's episode of Linking In with Louise. And today we have a returning guest, which is always a delight. I'm saying always a delight. I've only had a couple of people that I've actually invited back on. So this is a nice treat for me and for you. So today's guest is Amy Woods, who is the owner of Content 10X. Amy, I'm going to let you introduce yourself actually. So welcome to the podcast again.
Oh, well, firstly, thank you so much for having me. And it is a real honour to be a returning guest as well. So thank you. It's fantastic to be here. And I love everything that you've been doing with the podcast. It's great. I am the founder of Content 10X, and we are a creative agency that specialises in content repurposing. So we work with business owners and people, but basically people who embrace content marketing and really understand the value with it, but don't necessarily have time to spend the whole lives creating content all day every day. So they work with us to help them get the most out of pieces of content. So that's me. And then, I have a podcast. You've been on it, and you're a returning guest on my podcast as well, which is lovely. Got my book, got a regular blog content as well. So anything about repurposing and maximizing content, and that's my thing.
Excellent. And I don't think you had a book when you were last on the podcast, Amy. Tell everyone briefly about your book.
Oh yeah, so it was really exciting. So my book was published in October last year, which I'm very pleased that it was last year and not this year, given everything that's happened. Because I don't think I'd have got it over the line if it had been different years. But yeah, basically it was a long time coming. So it took well over a year to write, and then another 6 months or so to get to market. Wow. And it's the ultimate guide to repurposing every type of content. So it covers many things. It covers, I guess, understanding truly what content repurposing is, and then there's various chapters on all the different kinds of content that you can repurpose, and not just the things you hear about a lot, which is repurposing videos and podcasts and blog posts, but also things like repurposing live streams, repurposing webinars, repurposing emails, repurposing membership site content, and so on and so forth. So lots and lots of different angles as to just, working smarter basically with your content. And then it covers things like systems and processes and actually how to do it and how to embed it into the way that you work. So super, super exciting. It still feels a bit weird seeing a book with my name on it and it being the book. But super proud of it. Yeah, it's great.
I mean, it's something I want to aim for, but oh my goodness, to hear it took a year to write and 6 months to get out. I mean, that makes me actually feel a little bit better, because I see people producing books and I think, how on earth do you have time to do that and do your business? Which that's realistic.
Basically, I spent a year creating content. So, I was doing a podcast like yourself every week, doing a podcast and a blog post. And so a lot of the book was initially going to be, well, I'll take a year's worth of content and then I'll wordsmith all of my blog posts and things like that into a book, and I'll fill the gaps and all of that. But the filling the gaps became, huge, because there was loads and loads more to say. And then wordsmithing it out turned short blog posts into massive chapters and things like that. So that took more time than anticipated. And when you have your manuscript and you think, oh, I'm done, you go and review through it and you end up rewriting nearly all of it. And then it's tricky, because I self-published. You have to. I got help, but learning the world of how to actually, get a book to market, and because I did Kindle, paperback, and audiobook as well. So I guess I went the full kind of mile with it. And you want to do it right. You only launch your first book once, don't you? So you want to do it right. So that's why it took so much time, I guess.
Wow. I think I might put it on the shelf for 2021.
Tricky year this year.
Yeah. So, as you know, Amy, the podcast is really focusing on LinkedIn, and the reason I wanted to bring you on was because you and I had a really fascinating conversation about a new direction that you're moving in with LinkedIn. So do you want to bullet point out what this new offering is that you've got, and then we can talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, we're Content 10X. We've kind of been trying to decide on what is our core focus and who do we really want to help and how can we help them the best. And we've really decided to niche down to helping people become a leading authority in their industry on LinkedIn. So we're wanting to work and support and help people who are on LinkedIn. They have clients on LinkedIn. And I guess the other thing is, and they're comfortable creating video content because we double down on LinkedIn. Well, similar to you, Lisa. It's just such a powerful platform, and it's for businesses, it's just where it's at. We just believe it's where it's at, and it's where you see the most engagement and the most things happening through content that can help your business, and not just a like and a share, but more than that. So we've really tried to focus on video content because if anyone ever asks me what's the most versatile form of content, if I'm going to create one piece of content and then repurpose it, what should it be? My answer is always video content, because there's so much that you can do once you've created a video to just get more value out of it and maximize it. So it's all kind of based on that premise, and then also that you need to be consistent. So you really, if you're going to commit to something like a podcast or a video show or things like that, then be consistent and get something out every we say week. Obviously, consistent can be different for different people, but being consistent. So what we're doing is we're working with people who, if they can create one video per week for LinkedIn, we'll just create that one video. We will take it from there. Basically, after the record button is pressed at the end, we will edit the video and create custom thumbnails. We will turn the video into a podcast episode and produce the podcast and help people launch podcasts if they don't have one. And then we will write a blog post, a long form SEO focused blog post for the website, and create artwork and publish on the website. And then kind of mountains of content for LinkedIn, basically. So short video teasers, graphics with engaging posts, post questions, kind of text-based posts, long form, short form. So a whole selection of LinkedIn content, and then YouTube as well. So back to SEO, and we're going to kind of edit and produce it into a YouTube video, and then take care of the complexities there, thumbnails and tags and descriptions and all of that. So really, the idea is to become an influence on LinkedIn and really recognized as a leading authority, but also through the power of SEO with the website and YouTube, and also through the power of podcasting, which is such an intimate and sophisticated marketing channel, gain even more reach and more exposure outside of LinkedIn as well. So we're super excited about this, really kind of pumped about it, because we know it works, as you do.
It's fascinating. Whenever you and I spoke about this initially, I came off the call with you, and I was just buzzing with the possibilities of it all, because I'm probably like a lot of my listeners. I don't know if they actually listeners. Let us know. Message us on LinkedIn and let us know if this is you. People try and put out like a piece of content a week, but a lot of people then are just so busy that they don't then take that and do all of those amazing things that you're talking about. So, for example, my podcast, I will jump on Instagram stories and tell people what's on the podcast this week. I get the show notes delivered to me. I put them out as a blog post. But I have lots of different people helping me with all of this. Whereas what you're saying is that let's stream. You literally, the person makes the video, sends it to you, and then you take away all that pain and do it for them. It's just like such a genius service, I think, anyway.
Thanks, Louise. And I think that's the thing. It's that it's it's important that you do get the most value out of content and repurpose it, but it can be such a time consuming thing to do. And I think it's not just that it's time consuming, but it's also a very much kind of a multi-skilled like thing to do, because when we in our mutual friend Natalie Ekdal, when I spoke to her about this, got encouragement from her on this.
Mm-hmm.
We sat down and just worked out, and from her as creating a lot of content, podcaster and things like that, we just kind of worked out, okay, who does it something like this replace? If you were to do this really well, what would you have? And we were just saying, well, it's a video editor, and it's a podcast producer, and it's a graphic designer, and it's a copywriter, and it's SEO research and support, and it's publishing and implementation, it's project management, it's investment in the HR and the tools and the systems that make it all happen. And the list kind of went on. I think we reeled off about 15 different skill sets, which, some people, like a video editor can often be the podcast producer as well. Some cover over different people somewhat, but not really. With a lot of it, it's quite, to truly do each one well, you truly want a person who specialises in that. Yes. So then if you imagine juggling 15 freelancers, well, then the invoices are only going to take you half a day. So it's a tricky one, isn't it? And I think, that was the whole premise of why I even started my business in the first place. It was, yes, it's content and it's more reach, more impact, but for business owners and people in business who are trying to like really go at it with content, it's a time saver, so that when your content does its job and brings you more business, you can actually fulfill the leads and the conversions and fulfill the business, because you're not spending all day on your content. So it's a chicken and egg type situation, I suppose, isn't it? But
yes, absolutely. I mean, this is like, I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and it was basically the host was saying, take a long look at yourself and think what in your working hours of the day. And some people work 4 hours a day, some people work 8 hours a day on their business, some people work a lot more than that, as we know. But how many hours are you actually spending doing the work that you're getting paid for, and how many hours are you spending creating images for your social media, messaging people, and doing the work that actually isn't revenue generating, and outsourcing all of those tasks. There's virtual assistants who are amazing. Of course, there's a lot of very talented people, freelancers out there, but outsourcing the whole thing to one organization to get it done is just as you say, it saves you a lot of headache, a lot of admin, and probably a lot of money, because you're paying one company rather than 15 different freelancers. Whenever you and I first met, Amy, I think, did we meet Youpreneur first of all?
I think that you and I sat on a mastermind table in 2017 at Youpreneur Summit, didn't we? I think we met each other on that table.
With Martin from Jammy Digital as well.
Yes, that was it.
How funny.
Oh, isn't it nice how we all, you go to these events and then you really do genuinely make connections and you keep in touch. It's fantastic, isn't it?
It is. But at that time, did you have any team at that time?
Let me think. So I did, yeah. The kind of, I guess the journey of the business, and I won't, a very long story short, don't worry, but I think I got my first ever client in May 2017. When we met in November, I would have had one full-time team member. So I had a couple of clients for a couple of months where I was doing everything. I was the business. And then, by September, October of the first year, I had two full-time team members, and then I've just grown it bit by bit, as we've gotten more clients, have brought on more of a team. We're not huge, we're still quite a kind of boutique type agency, I guess, but fairly early on, had to kind of take that plunge and have, the expenses of the team before I think it really fully covered the incoming. But I always believe that you have to hire for the business you want, not the business you have.
But I think that, honestly, I think you're one of the few people who recognise that early on in their business.
Yeah.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't see that even for a couple of years.
Yeah. I think it could just, you go a lot slower in that case, or you never get to where you want to be, because you are always just working in the business that you currently have.
Yes.